Hey guys, it's Coco Tarot, and today we have another pick a card on the topic of how others see you then versus now. You can pick a pile based on the image in the thumbnail, and I encourage you to not pick your sign just for fun. And I will see you guys in your piles. Hey, pal number one, we're going to get right into your reading and see how others see you then versus now. We're going to go into the then, followed by going into the now. And I'm going to get your cards out. I will put this over here. So, pal number one, disruption, the king, and the king of wands. Okay. Very interesting, pal number one. People saw you with some kind of authority, but corrupted. So, a sort of corrupted authority. You could have been very popular, or I'm thinking of a jock, or someone who just had a lot of social power, but in some way, this was distorted. And it doesn't have to be the truth about you. This is just how others saw you back then. Okay, pal number one. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the truth, but people saw you back then as a social tyrant, maybe even a bully of some sort, someone who might have taken someone's girlfriend or boyfriend or seduced people, had extra people on the side people just saw you as someone who wasn't a good person. I'm so sorry, pal number one. This isn't how you are. This is how people see you, okay? But they saw you as someone who wasn't a good person, but who had it all, who had a lot of power. You know, this is the type of person where others see in certain situations and they won't say anything about it, but they'll feel a certain way about it. So people back then saw you as tyrannical, a ruler. You could have been really athletic, or someone who, if you caught someone saying the wrong thing, you would confront them and you would possibly get into a physical altercation with them. So a lot of people feared you back then. They saw you as a threat. They saw you as a threat. Two kings here, plus the king of wands. The king of wands can fight, okay? He got that staff. He's going to hit you with some kung fu, okay? With that staff, okay? And people really saw you as quick to anger, or not the person to say the wrong thing around, especially if it was someone who was your friend or someone you were dating. If someone talked bad about them, you would, I don't want to call you a bully pile number one, but people saw you as someone who would target others, especially if they wronged you. You could have, this sounds so crazy, but you could have broken, or there could have been a rumor about you breaking someone's arm or breaking someone's ribs, or I don't know, maybe you got into a really nasty fight. You could have gotten expelled from school. You were just the person that might have gotten in a lot of trouble, and people saw this, but they also saw some kind of position of power you had. I don't know if this power is physical, material, maybe you had a big house, or you had parents that had a lot of money, or if not, this could have been inwardly where you just had the energy of a king. But people really saw you as someone not to mess with, especially when it comes to playing your cards right in social circles, okay? We're going to get into your now. Rejection. Look at this here. The mother. Whoa. The Ten of Swords. Wow, we went straight from masculine energy to feminine with the mother here. Pile number one. Oh my gosh. People see you now as someone who got their karma. I don't know how else to say that. Like I said, this doesn't have to be true. People, they see you now, definitely with the mother energy, they see you with more compassion and more empathy. But with the rejection, it feels as if people have seen it be forced upon you. You've been forced into a place of empathy is what people see you as now. They see you as someone who has had a lot of loss and endings. There could have been an ending in particular. People could be talking about that you lost a mother of some sort. I'm sorry if you have, but people, they see you now as human. That's what I'm going to say, pile number one, because I don't want to leave you in this reading feeling as if attacked or just not in the best energy. I never want to leave you like that. People, they just see you now as human. They see you now with empathy. They see how they could have rejected you because of social norms or because of gossip, because of what people have said. They see how, even though you have had a lot of endings, you've handled them with grace. With that mother energy, it feels like you've handled a lot of things with grace, which is what a lot of people didn't expect nowadays or back then. People see you as human now. They see you as more than just this tyrannical king. They see you in the lens of compassion. Maybe you've gone through something that has made you more relatable to people. People could also see now that you reject that part of yourself. So if you've made mistakes in your past, they see that you don't align with those mistakes anymore. And honestly, a lot of the energies that are coming up in these readings are people that, there could be some people that had romantic attachments to you in the past that felt some certain kind of way with how it ended, and now they just feel rejected by you. They saw you as someone romantically that was in their path but had a lot of disruptions, but now they just feel really rejected by you. So that could be someone in particular and specific. Their energy just came up clear. Someone here definitely feels as if back then they had a really strong connection with you with minor disruptions. So with the pink here, it was really loving. And they saw you as someone who they wanted to be their king, masculine or feminine. They wanted to follow your lead. And now they feel very rejected by you. But overall, pal number one, people have seen you as human now. They've taken you off some kind of pedestal and see you as an equal of some sort. But that is your reading, pal number one, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Hey, pal number two, we're going to get right into your reading and see how others see you then versus now. We're going to go into the then first and then reveal the now. So I'm going to get the cards out and follow up with the message. I'm going to place this over here. All right, pile number two. Success. The Healer. And the Princess of Pentacles. Okay, so back then, people saw you as a very stable energy. They saw you as someone who was reliable, who had a lot of ideas about how you wanted to heal the world. So people back then could have seen you as sort of a humanitarian. I'm hearing a philanthropist, or someone who just had a lot of ideas about how you want to fix things. You could have been a valedictorian or class president, or I'm hearing something about a shift manager or a seating chart. You were just someone that people saw as very organized. And with the Healer here, I'm not seeing it as spiritual, which is funny. I'm seeing it as very real world. So you could have wanted to go into the medical field, veterinary field. You could have been very passionate about medical practices in general. People saw you as someone who was going to go places back then. A potential husband or wife. You just had a lot of potential when others saw you back then. People could have thought you were very happy with the sun there, that you had a lot of happiness or contentness in your life. You seemed very happy. All smiles is what I'm hearing. There possibly could have been a friend group or someone around you. With these three snakes here, I'm feeling as if there could have been a friend group that you hung out with a lot back then. So people could see you attached to 2 or 3 other people that were friends, or maybe a long-term relationship that was romantic. But overall, you were seen as someone who was popular, but not the popular kid. Just the kid that everybody knew. Or even if you weren't a kid, if this was college or an adulthood, or you were the person that everybody knew, and maybe you didn't cling to just one friend group, but everyone was just okay with, satisfied with, and thought was going places. You could have been voted as most likely to be fill in the blank type things in your yearbook. Definitely someone who was popular. But we're going to get into your now, how people view you now. Isolation, the gem, and the Six of Pentacles. Okay. Wow. Pile number 2, people see you now as being a little bit closed off, but knowing your worth. Maybe there was something in the past where you didn't know your worth. I did pick up on these 3 snakes here. You could have had a friend group that ended up stabbing you in the back, or things fell out and this was public of some sort, or on Facebook, or in a place where people could see it, that you and these people or this person don't hang out anymore. People feel as if now you've realized your worth, but because of that, you have drawn your energy back. You've kept it to yourself. Do you see how black and dark it is around this gem? I think in the past, people saw you as really projecting your energy outward toward others to help others. And now they see you as projecting all of that energy into yourself. I'm hearing that song by Ariana Grande, Thank You Next. And if you hear that song or you pay attention to what she's saying, it's really an affirmation for her loving herself. And that's how people see you now. They see you in this place where I know my worth and I'm going to be selfish with my energy. How can I heal myself before I heal the world? You've realized that you're some kind of gem of some sort, and people see you as seeing yourself as others used to see you back then. So maybe back then you were popular, or you did have this outward appearance of everything being good and people liking you, but you didn't understand that on the inside. And people see you now as understanding from the inside, oh, this is who I am. Very stable in your energy with the pentacles here. Although you've changed, I feel as if you're still yourself. You still have a lot of qualities that you did back then. And I'm seeing the star card as well. You could be Southern. I don't know where that came from. But overall, pile number 2, people see you as knowing your worth now. But that is your reading, pile number 2, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Hey, pile number 3, we're going to get right into your reading and see how others view you, then versus now. We're going to get into the then and then move on into the now. If you felt drawn to pile 6, then you should definitely watch pile 6 after this message. But I have not seen your cards yet, and I'm going to lay them out. We're going to put this over here for now. Pile number 3, it does not matter what kind of reading I do. You always get honks and alarms and all kinds of noises. But you got love, the orphan, and death. Wow. Pile number 3. People back then saw you as really loving, really sweet, but someone who had a sense of darkness handed to them at a very early age, or experienced a loss at a very early age. If that's not the case, people just saw you as someone who had something deeper beneath the surface. You see how the love here, and then there's the pink flower, and then it goes into death and this darkness. So although people saw you as very loving and beautiful, I'm hearing back then, they also saw a sadness in your eyes. You could have big doll eyes or big doe eyes, or there was something behind your eyes that people saw that was contradicting to what was on the surface. There's another alarm. I think back then people had red flags. Although they loved your energy and they wanted to be around you, they had this inherent sense of their intuition telling them a red flag, or there's something else here. Not to say that you are like taboo or they wanted to stay away from you. In fact, people felt very drawn to you back then, but they also felt like there was a secret or something that you weren't telling them. You could have been the type of person back then to say, "Oh, I'm just fine," when people asked you how you were. It just felt as if for other people on the outside, you had all this love and compassion, but there was a lot of feelings that you weren't communicating out loud. People wanted to protect you back then. They wanted to keep you from harm. A lot of people saw you as this innocent energy that needed protecting from the darkness of the world. So you could have been someone who was, now there's a police siren. A lot of people felt as if they needed to protect you from harm back then. They felt as if you were in a bad situation. Or pile number 3, what did you go through? People saw you as someone to protect because of some kind of situation or particular situations. Wow, that's how people saw you back then. We're going to go into the now. Creativity, the bridge, and the 7 of Swords. I just heard you made it out, or you dodged death, or it's like you dodged death. People see you now as a miracle or someone who really bridged some sort of gap. They've seen you cross over into a different side of yourself, or a side of yourself that is creative. So all of this darkness or this side to you that people couldn't see back then, they're starting to see it, or they're starting to see you embrace it. The secrets or the emotions that you have. When people ask you now how you are, you could be a little bit more honest about your emotions and how you feel. You no longer dodge confrontation just to be someone who is in the energy of love. People see you as someone who, even if it's hard, can have the hard conversation. Maybe back then people saw you as someone so full of love and light and almost a toxic positivity that you didn't face your trials. And now they see you as someone who faces your trials and goes over that bridge and uses that to boost some kind of creativity inside of you. People see you now as on the pathway to healing, and that you've done a lot of healing, and that you're no longer just giving to give, that it's a two-way street now, that you no longer people please, that you demand what you want in a lot of circumstances, demand what you need. People see you as still in this process of growth, but that you've gotten a lot of ideas about who you are and who you want to be, and have channeled that love into yourself more. People now, back then, they didn't understand if it was depth that you had or secrets or what that was, but now they see it as, oh, it was depth, it was healing, that maybe you had been through a lot and this is why you were that certain way. A lot of people see you now as not have reached your peak, that you have still a while to go till you reach your peak, so you still have, success is still in your future. People see you that way now, because you're still discovering yourself or discovering your style. People still want to protect you now because they see you through such this innocent lens, but they are less possessive of you as they were in the past. So people see you now as someone who can roam freely without having this constant need of protection, that you don't have these barriers or darkness around you anymore. I don't know if you grew up in a bad home, or I'm hearing a group home, or somewhere where people see you out of that situation now, so you can actually explore who you are and the depth of yourself. But that is your reading, pile number 3, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Hey, pile number 4. We're going to get right into your reading and see how others see you then versus now. First, we're going to get into the then, and then we're going to get into the now, but I'll put the cards out and then we'll get right into it. Okay. Just going to put this to the side for now, I guess. All right. So back then, you got passion, the underworld, And the Fool. The Fool is wearing what looks to be kind of a devil's outfit, and the stick is a little devil over his shoulder. I think in the past, people saw you as going down the wrong direction. You could have been a bit of a rebel or someone who got in trouble a lot. I'm hearing a class clown, or just someone who people didn't expect to have a bright future. Back then, others saw you as very impulsive, quick to just do whatever you want without sparing others' feelings. You could have been someone back then that others saw as indulging in partying and I don't know why I'm hearing extramarital affairs or drinking, just partaking in the side of life with the underworld here that most people see as taboo. In the past, I think others saw you as someone who was heavily influenced by other people in a negative way. So maybe others saw that you had negative influences around you, or there were people around you who tried to control you or dragged you through some kind of hell. This could have been a relationship with the passion here. People could have seen you back then as struggling with a particular relationship. I think back then people just saw you as someone who might not make it, pal number 4, who had ludicrous ideas or didn't really know where they were going, even though you might have said that you were going a particular place. You could have been someone in your past who exposed people or showed people conspiracy theories or things in life that were out of the norm or what people weren't used to, showed people a culture they weren't used to. And by a culture, I mean a subculture. So a particular group of people that hang out a certain way, or you know what I mean? But we're going to get into your now. You got a few extra cards, pile number 4. So how people see you now. Abundance. Yeah, I'll put this on this side. The Vision. Okay. The 5 of Pentacles. And the 5 of Hearts, which is the 5 of Cups. Okay, so pile number 4. People see you now as some kind of savant or someone who has a vision or an idea. You could run a business now, or they see you as someone who has had a lot of losses but has turned that into abundance of some sort. It seems as if when you were younger, you had a lot of fiery energy within you. And as you've grown up or now in your life, people see you as someone who has kind of grounded it out. And although you still have some things that aren't perfect like we all do, people really see you as someone who has overcame or experienced some kind of wisdom within yourself. A lot of people you know feel as if they couldn't understand you in the past, and now they see you as someone they kind of have started to understand and started to see the vision, started to get why you have these crazy ideas and want to implement them quickly. It doesn't seem so impulsive anymore. It actually seems to a lot of people as some kind of healing. Something that hasn't changed though is people still see you as someone who isn't ready to settle down romantically. In the past, you were non-committal, and in the future, you still are, but I think people see you as less of someone who intentionally is breaking hearts and more as if someone who might accidentally, you know what I mean? Things might not just work out along the bend is what I'm hearing. I don't even know what that means, but it seems here, pile number 4, that people have seen you really control your energies or control your chakras over the years, and they appreciate the vision, even if it's not everybody's cup of tea. But that is your reading, pile number 4, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Hey, pal number 5, we're going to get right into your reading and see how others view you. Then verse now. We're going to go into the then and then into the now, and I'll put the cards out. I'll put this over here. You did get a few extra cards, pal number 5. We got confidence, the nectar, and the chariot. Ooh, pal number 5. People saw you as really cool back then, but a different kind of cool. You had an edginess about you or a difference about you. There could have been something with your style that was different. You could have worn a lot of black or been a little emo or seen or just a little more alternative than people are used to. People back then, they saw you as mysterious and they wanted to get to know you. They wanted to know more about you. I'm hearing they wanted to get into your playlist or hear what kind of music you were into. Maybe you were into the music scene. People wanted to know where you were hanging out or what parties you were going to. Or if you didn't party, they wanted to know what books you were reading. Or people saw you as someone who had a lot of layers. If you are a masculine, there were a lot of feminine energies that imposed this bad boy fantasy in their head onto you, or even if you were feminine, it was almost people really imposed a lot of their fantasies onto you, and it stemmed from some kind of depth that you had. People back then saw you having layers and depth, so maybe you had a lot of maturity at a young age and it had people flocking to you, but it's a lot of this mysteriousness with the black hair. People saw you as someone of indulgence, but in a way of escapism or fantasy, or like I said earlier, that trope of the bad girl, the bad boy, the manic pixie dream girl, the person who, changes your whole life with their poetic banter and how they see you. You know what I mean? That's the energy of this. That's how people saw you back then. There were even people back then who maybe you didn't even know that wanted to approach you but wouldn't because they would get so caught up with these mental fantasies of you sweeping them off their feet. And I don't know what this is, pile number 5, but people really did have this fantasy of you being the one for them, the soulmate, or and this is even people who didn't have deep interactions with you. With the black here, you reflect people's inner desires, and in a lot of ways they took that out on you, especially with how they saw you. They saw you as they wanted to see you. So lots of crushes here. We're going to get into how they see you now. So reflection. What did I just say, Mirror? Strength. The offering. And temperance. It's so crazy how I said that you mirror people's internal desires. You really have become that, but even more so, people see you as ever giving. In the past, you were very closed off, or not that you intentionally meant to be. You just had a very deep nature about you where you were always thinking about things and observing things and watching human behavior and watching how people interacted with each other. And now people see you as someone who is ready to give themselves to the collective or a group of people, or they feel like they know you more, they understand you better, and people don't really impose this fantasy onto you. They see you as a good person, pile number 5. It's not that they didn't see you as a good person back then, but back then, since they imposed all these fantasies and stuff onto you, they couldn't really see you. The mirror was distorted. And now people see you for who you are, and they see you as more than the image with the sunglasses and being hidden and mysterious. They see you as someone who is deep and human. So you could resonate with pile number 1. If you felt drawn to that pile, I would definitely go check that out. But you're someone who people see you now as full, complete, or whole, or not someone who you didn't even care about the attention back then, but now it's even more so. People see you now as someone with a lot of strength and knowing and earth angel energy, someone who has harnessed their energy and now is able to give it up. Do you see the hand here? I just noticed that hand. So back then, you were really trying to figure yourself out, and now you've figured out a lot of yourself, and people see this. You've harnessed that mysterious energy, all that black, and you're starting to show colors. You're starting to show parts of yourself that people didn't even know were there, secret skill sets or things that you kept hitting because you didn't know if they were a part of who you wanted to be, a part of your story. And they still want to get to know you just as much as they did back then. But they have more of an open mind toward you. They're not so trying to stereotype you into whatever they've concocted in their head. But that is your reading, pile number 5, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Hey, pile number 6. We're going to get right into your reading and see how others see you, then versus now. We're going to get into the then and then into the now, and I'll put the cards out. I'm just going to place this right over here. You got a few extra cards, pile number 6. Okay. Happiness, the Temple, and the 9 of Pentacles. People back then, they definitely saw you as someone who had a lot of security. I said that so quickly because it was just known. So you could have came from a family that had money, or if not money, some kind of stability. So financially, emotionally, spiritually, there's a lot of stability where you came from. And people back then, they saw you as someone who was really centered in your energy. You could have been a bit of a hippie, or I heard a barefoot Sally, so you could have walked around barefoot. People just saw you as very content, and you knew who you were. You've always known who you are in some kind of way, or back then, this is how others saw you, as someone who was very sure of themselves, very confident. You were definitely someone spiritual. People sensed this back then, that you had with the bird here, a spiritual connection. This could even be religious. Maybe you were in the choir or Catholic, or there was just this air of devotion and spirituality to you back then. And people saw this as a place of happiness. People could have seen you as a stoner. I'm definitely getting that vibe of you could have been a stoner back then, or someone who, I'm not seeing a drinker, a smoker in particular, or someone just very herbal outside. That barefootness, that naturalness. You could have been someone who people didn't see wearing a lot of makeup or always in a bathing suit, that sort of energy. And I don't know if I called you pile number 3 because you're pile number 6. So maybe there's messages in pile number 3 for you, because I kept thinking you were pile number 3, and I haven't even filmed pile number 3 yet. I don't even know what their cards are, but that could resonate with you. Regardless here, people really did see you as a really cool, centered person. Someone sure of themselves, and there's something here with your background. Does someone here have a famous uncle or a famous great grandpa? There's someone in your lineage with the stars here, and that tree, it's making me think of a family tree, a star family, or there's someone in your family that could have had local fame or made honey, something like that. People just saw you as someone who was nurtured and healthy and came from a good background, regardless of what your history is. We're gonna get into your now. You got some extra cards. Okay, you got the 6 of Wands. The 6 of Swords. Okay. Pile number 6. Why do I keep wanting to call you pile number 3? I don't even know their cards. The Desert. Wow. Movement and comfort. You got a lot of extra cards, pile number 6. People see you now as going places. You could have moved around a lot, or you just recently moved internationally. You could travel a lot internationally. The 6 of Wands and the 6 of Swords is passport stamps. Okay, I'm on the move, I'm victorious. You could be in a season of winning right now. And with the desert coming out after the temple, people see you now as still as spiritual as you were back then, because what is the temple without the desert? You know what I mean? That's there's something inherently spiritual about you, and people just see you going places. The Six of Swords and movement, you're a comfort space for people now. People feel a sense of nostalgia around you now, or family members, they love to be around you. People who are close to you love to be around you now. They always did, but especially now. They feel, I'm not gonna lie, pile number 6, people feel a little bit popular or a little bit high from your energy. There's something about you where, because you've traveled or you've been places, even if it's not internationally, just around the country or in your own state, I don't know, you could just have a bus and drive around, I don't know. But people, they get this high off your energy now, and they see you as someone who is inspiring. Almost as if, wow, I want to be just like pile number 6. Something just crashed outside. I don't know what that was, but people could see you now as always having something going on in your life. That's where a lot of that movement is. You're always shape-shifting and moving and changing houses or changing zip codes or changing diets or changing your hair. You're someone who is constantly in a flux of change. So people could question your stability a little bit, but not with ill intentions. I believe they question your stability as in, how can pile number 6 afford this wild lifestyle where they're always having fun and always doing the most? So people really see you as having a lot of fun right now. Just as happy as you used to be, but with a purpose. Even your spirituality with a purpose. I think back then people saw you or your spirituality as real, but a little bit more surface level. And now with the desert, they really see that you are on some kind of spiritual trek of some sort. If you pick this pile, please pick pile number 3. I don't know what's in there, but we'll figure it out together, because there is a little bit more to the story here, pile number 6. People see you in multiple different ways. So that's why this international, or maybe you went to a lot of schools or different people know you, but the people who know you don't know each other besides your family. So your friends, you could have a lot of friends in different cities and whatnot, or people could see this as that way, since this is how others see you. But yeah, pile number 6, that is how others see you. And I hope to see you in that reading in pile number 3. And if not, I will see you soon. Bye.